Welcome back, everyone, to our Let's Play series of Motorsport Manager. So we're coming off of definitely our best finish, as we got a podium at this particular race and had a good race overall. Our finish was actually better than what we ran, because we were, about 7th, 8th at some point, with maybe 10 to 15 minutes left to go, and then we simply had like 3, 4, 5 teams in front of us that come in for pit stops, moving us up to eventually a podium position. So, hey, we'll take all the points we can get, and of course the money will be doled out at the end of the season based on your points finish, but based on the rules that are set up in our division right now, which, as always, are subject to change with a vote. There shouldn't be all that much difference. It says there's a small difference between what the top teams get and what the bottom teams get as far as the standings go, but we are doing the best we can. We're still in last place as far as the points go team-wise, and if we click over here, you can see, there's pretty much no way we're going to make up that deficit. We have a couple of races to go, and as we've already talked about, the money thing, we don't have enough money to even complete one more race, much less two, but we're going to take this thing as far as we can. If they end up firing us, I can't remember what it allows you to do once you get into the negative. That's one of the benefits of it being quite a while since I've played the game, is a lot of this stuff I'm having to sort of relearn again. So that is really fun to me, because I want to see what happens now that we're going to run into the negative. I do know we have one sponsor opportunity that we'll be getting, hopefully, and we got 24 days before our next race, so hopefully we'll be able to fill this slot, and hopefully it'll be a pretty good deal. It won't be enough to keep us out of the negative, I'm sure, unless it's all upfront money, but we'll see how it goes. This should be very interesting. Let's go ahead and get into our mail, and again, a lot of this stuff we don't care about. And again, 50, 55, okay. Not bad there. Let's do our normal interview and see what they've got for us. Okay, so Olga demolished the competition. And do you think it's becoming too predictable? Is that not the same question we got after the last race? I'm pretty sure it was, because I remember answering this. So, okay, I guess we'll go with that. Also, it's worth pointing out that you can see our chairman, even though they're well aware of the fact that we're about to run out of money and go into the negative, are still 100% happiness with us. So it's a little odd. Now we've got Mike Ham. We saw this at the very end of the last video. The dodgy neck removes, in his case, basically his entire fitness level. So that's not going to be fun. But hey, that's what comes with the game. These little random events that pop up are kind of the part of what makes it interesting. Let's go into the pit crew. And you can see we got some more people over here to hire if we so choose. But what I'm most interested is, I want to first look, and I see, okay, looks like all of our guys are back to full strength or extremely close. So let's go about the business of getting them back going. Let's see, parts fixing and tires. That means we want this guy on the front, although parts fixing is not something we really worry about at this point in the season. But let's go ahead and let's see, let's go ahead and put him up here. This guy, we really need to rest if we can. So I think I'm going to swap out here. So essentially what it looks like you need is basically 2 pit crews. Even though one pit crew pits both tires during the race, it looks like for all intents and purposes you need 2 pit crews, and just swap them out every few races is about what it amounts to. I mean, look at here. Wow, that is a huge drop. May have something to do with that mistake. I don't know exactly, but either way, we're going to have to get him out of there, which is kind of sad because the refueling numbers are really good for both of these guys. All right, let's go ahead. Let's see, refueling. Swap these guys out. But yeah, I mean, look at that, 7 and then 10. That is big time. Let's see what else we've got here. So 4 and 9. Okay, that'll work. Let's go ahead and do that. Swap these guys out. Everybody else up here looks fairly good. Front jack could probably use a swap. Let's see. That won't work. 73. Okay, let's just go ahead and do, I think, this one. Can we move down? Okay, we don't have anybody else there. And I'm not looking to hire anybody right now. Hopefully, over time, we'll get some much better pit crew. But for right now, that's really not our issue. Let's go ahead and swap these guys out. You can see a lot of mistakes. I mean, 2 mistakes on the jack is definitely not good. That's not what we want. Considering that the jack, you can see in the grand scheme of things, it takes less than 2 seconds for that. So, I mean, even if you made a mistake and it took 3.5 seconds, 4 seconds, twice the amount of time, it still wouldn't be very much of any time relative to the entire situation. All right, let's see what we've got here. Tires, very good. Fixing, very good. Not bad at all. Other than that, I'm not really seeing anything I like. There's 1 empty slot. I think I'm going to start rejecting some of these guys. It looks like we may be running out of slots available to bring in new. So let's go ahead and reject some of these and bring in a few empty slots. All right, I'm going to reject this one simply because of the mistake chance. I like the zeros there. And this guy has a lot of stamina. I like that, but we're going to reject there as well. Okay, we'll keep there. I mean, this 6 and 5 or 6 and 4, not great, but might work if we just had to do that. So now that'll leave us some open slots. Let's move back over. Tell you what, let's go ahead and move things forward a little bit till we get our car repair complete. There we go. Get that email out of the way. And now let's go into our car. So one thing we want to keep in mind, and for those of you who have played this game quite a bit more in the past will already know this, but as you come to the end of the season, one thing that you have to keep in mind is that what will roll over to the next season as far as your parts is this one number here. All right, the potential doesn't matter. It goes away. So if you don't max out the potential, then this number did you no good. So for that reason, one of the things I want to do here is try to, and you can see 7 days before the race, this will be done. I want to max out the brakes. That's really all we did anything with because it's all we had the money for. Well, didn't really have the money for it, but you get the idea. So right now, I mean, you can see we're going to be up at 127 there, whereas our other parts and pieces are really quite pathetic. But that's something we're going to work on in year 2, year 3, and really try to build this over time. All right, let's see. I think that's what I want to do there. I don't really have anything else I want to do as far as reliability. I mean, everything is plenty high enough, I think, in order to get us where we need to go. So let's go ahead and continue on. Biggest thing we're going to be looking for are sponsors. We're going to be looking for to fill that one slot, and hopefully we'll get 3 offers there that will all be pretty good. I think I heard one in the background. Okay, let's look at our mail and see what we've got. We've got a vote. Ooh, here we go. This could be interesting to move back to 2 dry tire compounds for the race instead of the 3 that we're currently able to use right now. Okay, that would be interesting. So let's go ahead. Let's get rid of this other one. Okay, we're on target for what we want. We see we got 2 sponsorship opportunities. Let's go ahead to this vote on the 2 dry tires. Now, I don't particularly care. You can see that 2 people are already very much against it. We could use both of our voting power here, or we could abstain and then move this number up for the next vote. I don't really care a whole lot about this. For me, it's more fun a lot of times just to see what the AI decides to do with this. So I'm just going to abstain and just see what happens. Because like I said, I don't really care either way. Okay, so it's rejected. We're going to keep, only 1 person voted for it, whereas we had 4 votes against it, and then a couple of people, you know, one other person like us just didn't care. Okay, let's go ahead and move forward. There we go. We got our factory staff is now idle. Of course, we don't want that. Let's go ahead and we'll take care of that issue. All right, any chance on some new suspension? Yeah, I know what you're saying, but no. It is not going to happen. Let's move into our car, though. And let's see what we want. So we're good there on the parts, and of course we got some parts we can't do anything with them. They're spec parts. And so let's work on, let's go ahead and work on these, because remember, these will carry over as 2 and 0, so at least we can get them up to 12 and 14, if nothing else. So we'll try to do that. And then we'll move on from there. Okay, time to travel, and let's go ahead and get these couple of emails out of the way. We're not going to worry about any of this stuff, but we did finally get that third offer for sponsorship. So let's take a look at what we get. So we've got 6 races, 150, 8 races, 500,000 up front. All right, that's terrible. Then we've got 4 races with 450 up front and 85 per. So I think what I'm going to do is go with this one just because it's a little bit shorter of a term. Again, long term, we need to be getting, instead of 1-star sponsors, we need to be getting 3 and 4 minimum. And of course, ultimately, we'd like to be able to get to 5. So let's go ahead and accept this offer. Okay, so that brings us up to 1.27. Again, still not going to be enough for what we need, but every little bit helps. And you can see now we're a few races away from getting any new money. Now, one thing I will point out is if we come to the finance screen, you can see we can request additional funds. I'm not going to do that because I kind of want to see what's going to happen with all of this when we run into the negative. So again, this is available, and if I click on it, you can see, oh, I'm not happy about this, and really decreases the chairman happiness, but it gives us about $1.3 million. But I really don't want to do that, not because of the happiness issue, though. All right, so I believe we are ready to race. Yes, indeed. So once again, we're going to choose the 5th or above and hope for the best and get to this 1.1 million instead of the 1.5 million. Okay, let's go ahead and select the tires. Again, auto pick to begin with. And what I am most likely to do here is, of course, I won't be using the Super Softs with car number 1. So I'm going to go ahead and reduce that. 7 is plenty on this side of things. And I think, let's go ahead and do that. That's pretty good. Again, we're not going to be using a medium tire in all likelihood for car number 2, except for maybe Carolyn at the most. So, okay, I think I like what we've got here. And so our parts, we should be good. If I remember correctly, we've got the parts in there that we need. Okay, you can see our gearbox has come up a little bit. It was at, I think, 2 and 0, so it's come up a little bit. Not enough to matter at this point, but hey, we'll take every bit that we can get. All right, with all that out of the way, I think we're ready to head to the race. All right, we're practicing qualifying out of the way. We're now ready to get this race started. So our bonuses, race trim, full level 3, and then we're going to have medium tire, and then a little bit of help on the soft tires wearing a little bit better on car number 2. So this is going to be an interesting race because I think medium tires are going to be the way to go simply because of the tire heat. However, I am going to start this race on soft tires on both cars because that's what lines up with the starting fuel, which you can see is at 43 laps each. Of course, we won't get quite that much because we'll be tuning the engine up a little bit. But the soft tires line up pretty good with this amount of starting fuel for somewhere around 40 laps. Again, we'll see how it goes, but somewhere in that neighborhood. And then driver strategy as it usually is. So we're going to start off not pushing, but of course that is very much subject to change. We may have to back off. You can see we've got some interesting tire choices on the grid right now. Let's go ahead and speed things up. So a lot of medium tires there. So I'm going to take a chance. Again, this is what makes this game fun is you have tons of choices. Sometimes you make the right one, sometimes you don't. But all right, we're starting at the back, but let's see how it goes. And I'm going to be keeping an eye out for those tire temps and see if they are too high, too low, just right for this tire. And of course that will also change as the race goes on. Okay, but what should be happening if we had comparable speed, look at that, they're not even heating up right now. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and push it because why not? Let's go ahead and see what we can do. We've already got driver mistakes. Good gracious alive. This girl does nothing but driver mistakes, I think. Alright, so Anderson is now out front. We'll push a little bit here. Again, it's going to run through our driver's stamina doing this a lot quicker than I want, but again, we're going to have some fun. Oh, great, now we get both of our drivers making mistakes. Alright, so we're pushing, and yet still we find ourselves fighting for last place. And that is definitely not what we want. But this is sort of a test session for us, just like basically all the races are for us, and we're trying to see what it is, if anything, that we can do to sort of help out our strategy. And there's a bunch of different things you can do, a bunch of different things. But that's, of course, the fun of the game. Alright, so we're now up to 20th and 23rd. I don't know what's going on back here with car number 1. They're not going anywhere. Alright, the tire temps are climbing a little bit higher than I would like. Let's back this down. And, of course, we're running through some stamina now. Alright, let's see if we can keep this thing going. So 19th and 21st. We need both cars to be moving forward as much as possible. So I don't estimate that we're going to have any issues with rain in this race. I will still try to take a look at it over time, but I think our issue overall is going to be with the track grip, which will affect the heat in the tires. Okay, temperature diving down a little bit more. So let's go ahead and push at least for a lap or two. Alright, so if you watch the mini map, which is what I watch a good bit during these times, just try to see how the group spreads out. You can see that we're not doing terribly bad. They're considering, you know, our car is by far the worst on the grid. So we're not doing terrible with regards to that. Unfortunately, our car number 1 driver here, Petra, is doing horrendous right now. But yet Anderson over here is doing great. So we've got more driver mistakes. She locked up, and of course that is going to kill the tire. Alright, so we've already run out of tire over here because of the driver mistakes. So now I'm going to be forced. Let's see. Yep, she locked up as well. So we are not having any luck whatsoever. But of course, we really need to make it to at least 45 minutes if at all possible. I'm going to try to conserve this tire. We've got plenty of fuel left to do what we need to do, but really, really need to conserve this tire. We're going to run out of tire before we're going to run out of fuel, unfortunately. Well ahead. So we've got one car doing really good. So Anderson is doing really good. Okay, car number 1 making a little bit of a comeback, up to 20th now. So at least, you know, in the ballpark. But all right, we're at a point where we've run out of tire. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's move this back up. Try to get. I'm trying to get to 45 minutes. Okay, car number 2. This is not an issue, but car number 1 it is. All right, let's go ahead. We're going to have to come in, and we're going to do our driver swap. Okay, I'll tell you what, Kurt, let's go ahead and let Kurt in. And the tire choice here, I'm going to have to say, let's go mediums. That's where our bonus is, so let's try this one out and see. I really want to stay with the soft tires, though, so we may have to come back to that. But I want to see how the tire heat goes with this. Let's go ahead and fill him up. He may be able to drive a good bit farther than I'm thinking. Okay, so here comes car number 1 into the pits. Let's swap over to a tremendous run that we're having by Anderson. Okay, so Anderson is now at 46 minutes. All right, let's have her really, really push hard here. Okay, she's got a little bit of fuel left, a little bit more than I was hoping for by the time the tires wore out, but let's go ahead and have her drive really hard, get that tire temp back up there, and we'll try to keep an eye out. Let's see, let's go ahead and push a little bit on the medium tires as well. All right, so we're now up to 13th, which is leading our division right now. So we made our tires last longer than anybody had planned to, but let's go ahead and do our pit stop now. We're going to go over to Romano. Now, Mike Ham is going to be a liability in every way in this race. This is going to be terrible with him, but so far so good. So we are going to keep the soft tires on, and we are going to not quite, let's see, let's start at fill up, and let's go about, that's pretty good. Let's take off that. I still think it's going to be a little bit too much fuel, but just in case he does better than I'm thinking. Okay, now let's focus back on car number 1 for a little bit. Okay, Romano, we're not going to start out pushing with Romano. We're going to give it a few laps and see where the temps go. Right now, the temps look really good pushing in the medium tire. And that's over here in car number 1. But unfortunately, we just don't have, for whatever reason, we're not looking good on the speed. I know we swapped over to a harder tire, but hopefully we can make up some time on the guys in front of us who are also on the harder tire. All right, tire temp is plunging over here on Romano, so we're going to take a chance and push. Again, this is going to cost us with regards to our stamina, but hey, we're going to keep it up. We are running in 18th place. So just outside the money for our sponsorship objective. All right, not bad at all. So far my eyes are doing pretty good with this 3D mode, so we'll stay with it as long as that's the case. Now we are, we're doing great with this. Oh, tire's getting a little bit too hot on both cars, so we're going to back it down. And so we're going to be running low on stamina, and then of course driver number 3, Ham, is going to be terrible with stamina. So we're going to have to manage this the best we can. And ultimately, I think car number 1 is still going to be our best opportunity for a good finish just because of the driver weakness on Team 2, which is at the worst possible time because we are absolutely doing great in this race. Okay, let's go back and push more. So we may be pushing driver number 1, Carolyn's drive time, pretty close in this one. Okay, the good news on car number 1 is you can see we're not that far out of 19th here, so we could pick up 3 spots. And of course, it's not inconceivable that we could move up even further, but we're doing pretty good here. I'm a little bit happier now with the tires than I was before, and everything is looking good. We need to back off over here. All right, we're running out of stamina. All right, pretty quick. That's downfall of pushing, or one of them anyway. So let's go ahead and run it down as low as we can, which is probably going to be about this one more lap. All right, let's set up the pit stop, and we're going to put in, oh, this is going to be horrible. And I really need Carolyn to hurry up and regain some stamina. All right, so tire choice, we are going to put him on the super softs and try to get as much speed out of him as we can for the short duration of time that we're going to have him. And I tell you what, we're going to go with about, let's go with about that much fuel. That should line up fairly good with the strategy. Okay, so we got our driver swap done, tires done, everything looks good. All right, so let's move over to car number 1, and we'll keep an eye out for our pit stop. Okay, so far so good. And looks like everything was good. All right, that's what I like to see. So we're going to see what Ham can do for the time he's got available. We're going to try to push with him as much as we can. In the meantime, car number 1, again, looking good on the times and how close we are to our competition. That's looking good. He's now been over the 45-minute threshold, and we've still got plenty of tire left. Remember, this medium tire, you don't have to change them quite as soon as you do the softer variations. We got plenty of fuel as well. Okay, let's go ahead and push. As much as I hate to do that with Ham, I really need him to last, but at the same time I also need him to get as much speed as we can, because we're going to probably have to do some additional pit stops. Okay, going to be very careful with Ham. Let's see, where are we on stamina? 52 for Carolyn. That is not what we need. And Romano's probably not going to be worth much. Now, Carolyn can only do about maybe 44 minutes or so. So we're not going to make it that far with her. All right, so now we are in great shape here. I'm really liking this medium tire at this point. I'm thinking this is turning out great, because we're able to really push with this thing, and it really makes me wish that car number 2 hadn't had this issue with the drivers. We could be in for a couple of really good finishes. Okay, so now we're running low on this. Let's see. Oh, unfortunately, yeah, the time is going to get us. All right, I'm trying to run this down as low as I can. Stamina is gone, tires are gone, but I really need him to go as far as possible. All right, so we've gone as far as he can go. And let's see, so now we're going to go to driver number 3. We should be in pretty good shape here, but I may have to back off pushing a little bit to conserve stamina. Okay, let's go to the medium tire once again. Definitely fill him up. And let's go. Okay, I think that's everything we needed. Let's go ahead and do that. Hopefully it is anyway. And let's actually go back down to medium on the fuel. I want to see if I can buy a little bit of fuel somewhere along the line, because we need him to go farther than we have before in this car, because you remember we were running extremely low on fuel, but we need to go even farther this time. So I'm backing it off. In fact, let's go ahead and push a little bit with the tire. All right, we need to come in for a pit stop here. Unfortunately, we're at an hour. Let's go ahead and run Carolyn as far as we can, which I think is probably going to be, let's go soft tire with her. And what does it show we can make on that? About 40. Okay, so that would be full of fuel. So we're going to try to run her as hard as we can, because stamina will not be her issue, I don't think, here. Let's make sure I got what I needed. Carolyn, we got soft tires. Okay, we're good. Okay, let's focus back on Lee. Again, we want to keep tires weren't really the issue. We were getting low on tires, but it wasn't really our problem overall. Okay, pit stop is looking good. And okay, I didn't see any issues there. We should be in good shape. And let's go ahead and see if we can't push. Meanwhile, on car number 1, you can see I've been pushing with Lee for a little bit now, and it hasn't killed the tire. I'm going to have to back off, though, for stamina purposes. But I'm really hoping that he can go the rest of the way. Really hoping. It may not work out, though. But either way, we're going to see if we can't stretch this fuel and the driver. Okay, let's take a look at our other drivers. All right, so Petra, yeah, she only ran 46 minutes the first time, so if we need to put her back in, we definitely can. All right, wow, that is no heat in the tire if I don't push with the hard tires. So let's try to get a little bit of heat back in. We are killing the stamina. Alright, so Anderson trying to keep a close eye on her. Let her push as hard as possible. Alright, so a reminder there about drive time for Carolyn. So we got about 25 minutes more that we can run for her, so I think I want to push her as much as that tire heat will allow me to anyway. Alright, and we're not going to be able to make it to the end. Not on the stamina, I don't think. So we're down from 92 to 56. We're down, well, almost half here. This is going to be really, really close. Let's back off of pushing just a little bit. Again, just trying to conserve that driver's stamina as much as we possibly can. Okay, Carolyn running low on stamina. That's what you get from pushing her as hard as we have so far. And she's been in the car, what, a little over 30 minutes, I guess, at this point. All right, so we're trying to keep going and push her as hard as we can and the tire as hard as we can. Alright, let's run. Push a little bit more over here. Alright, Carolyn is about used up, so let's bring her out and put Romano back in and see if he can make it another 25, 26 minutes. Okay, the super softs go in. And let's see, how much fuel do we need for this? 30, probably around 30 will be good. Let's give that a little bit. Too much fuel is better than not enough. Okay, hopefully no issues in the pits. Alright, really low on stamina over here on Lee, on car number 1. But again, look how close we are to some of these other cars. So we're in not terrible position. I mean, this car is definitely coming in again. And I would say this one is coming in also. We might be able to pick up a couple of more positions just from pit stops. Alright, fuel I think is going to be okay. Tires I think are going to be okay. Stamina may be what we're dealing with. Oops, let's conserve with Romano. Forgot about his tire temp for a few minutes. Alright, so if we can hang in there, we got one more pit stop I believe is about to happen. There we go. A couple more actually. So let's see, it would be nice. Yeah, they're in the pits now. Okay, so now if we can just make it to the end, we've got a shot at being in the sponsor objective. Okay, we're getting worn tires, but that's a little misleading because it's the medium tires. Okay, we may just make this. let's go ahead and push and try to see if we can keep some of this time. It's going to be hard because they're on the super soft tires, but let's go ahead and see if we can't do this. Tire wear is not an issue. All right, 6.5 minutes left to go. Oh yeah, we're looking good here. Let's go ahead and back off. Yeah, we got a 20-second lead there. Okay, back over to car 2, which I basically forgot about for the last few minutes while everything was going on for car number 1. All right, excellent, excellent. We had plenty of fuel there at the end, plenty of tire, and just enough stamina as we're under a minute now. This is going to be another great finish. Wow. That was pretty nice. Oh wait, I did not mean to do that. Hopefully that didn't take effect until after the race was finished, because I sure didn't intend to change it that way. All right, so we end up with, how about that, another podium finish. That's pretty awesome. So once again, using the hard tire and doing the fewer pit stops really helped us out. As you can see, of course, the leader did 3 pit stops, but when you have speed, you can do that kind of thing. And then 2 pit stops, a lot of 3s. Unfortunately, car 2, we had to make an extra pit stop beyond what we had even wanted to make due to the driver issues, but I am very happy overall. I did not think that car number 2 was going to be able to finish as high as 21st. I did not think we had that. So that is very exciting. And let's go ahead and move through the screens here. And once again, the podium finish. The points are nice. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time left in the year, I don't think, to get out of 6th place. But yeah, you can see there's way too many points to be made up to get us out of the bottom. But now becomes the interesting part, the money. All right, let's see what the game, once it finally decides to load, and hopefully not crash. Okay, so driver form, not good across the board here. I mean, this is just not good at all. Okay, we need much higher numbers. We need 7 and above on these guys. Okay, it looks like let's see. With a fitness issue, nope, it's still there. Let's let everything fill out. And make sure, how long was this trait in here? No trait changes, okay, so it's not gonna show me that, okay. So we get, oh wow, a whole 1% increase in our team marketability. We need a whole lot more than that. But we came in 3rd this time. That's huge. That's huge. All right, let's go ahead and take this. This will put us slightly into the negative. And as we flip through these final couple of screens, I am ecstatic about that race. That was pretty awesome. And so we did basically the best we could have possibly hoped for. The strategy worked out for us, and the cars performed as good as they possibly could have. We got all of the driver stamina that we could get. So it just goes to show, I mean, there's so many options on how to run a race, which tires to use, how hard to push, and how that affects everything. So it's a lot of fun. That's one of the things I love about this game. So many options, and it's why I'm basically addicted to this game. So maybe it wasn't such a good idea for me to get back into this game. Thank you very much for joining me. That's going to do it for this video. And when we come back next time, we'll be looking to go to Vancouver. So thank you very much for joining me. And stay tuned for more of our Let's Play series of Motorsport Manager.